What's going on, guys? Andrew Piluk Hockey here, back with another video, and today we're going to be talking about William Nylander and the potential for his next contract. Again, this will be another discussion style of video. A lot of people liked the Oilers video that I posted recently. If you haven't seen that video, check it out. I made a video on why the Oilers should make a move. So now I'm going to have that style of video, but with the William Nylander contract, of course, talking about different things. I'll provide some graphics when I can. And yeah, I've got some stuff in front of me that I want to bring up, and we're gonna be doing a little bit of some comparisons to other players and stuff like that. So hopefully you guys will enjoy this video, and if you're new, make sure you click subscribe. Love to have more hockey conversations with you. I'll also be posting some links in the description box that you should check out. I'll put some titles and lower thirds and stuff like that on the video so you guys can check those things out, like Patreon and all that other good stuff. But let's get to the actual content of the video. And I think a lot of people have been freaking out, especially Leaf fans. Also, I'm wearing my Toronto Arenas jersey. It's got Patrick Marleau on the back. You can see the numbers there, 12. But yeah, like I said, a lot of people are, getting a little worried about the William Nylander, the fact that he doesn't have a contract. I mean, he could be signing as I'm making this video. So if you're seeing this video, then he hasn't signed yet. But as a Leaf fan, I am, wanting that deal to get done pretty soon, because I want to know if it's a bridge deal or if it's going to be a long-term contract. Now, there's been some people that have asked me, what's a bridge deal? Now, a bridge deal is kind of like a bet on yourself type of thing. A lot of teams will present this to a player and say, listen, here's what we want to do. You can, if you have a better season, we can negotiate after this couple of years, because usually it's not too long-term. It's usually 2 or 3 years. So, and I mean, that seems like a lot, but, for a player like William Nylander, who's only 22 years old, in a couple of years, if he is doing much better, he's putting up more points, he could demand more money, and then obviously get 7 or 8 years, that would give him much more than what he's making. So it's kind of like a bet on yourself type of thing. If I'm the Toronto Maple Leafs, I'm not trying to have that happen, because I think that with this offense, you're going to see a lot of guys explode this year, including William Nylander. I've said it before, I think he has the potential to lead the team in points. People think I'm absolutely crazy, but if Nylander really starts to lock down his game, we haven't seen the best of him. I really don't think we have. And just quickly going over his stats, I'll provide it for you guys up there as well. When he entered the league in the 2015-2016 season, when Leaf fans got a little bit of a sample of what William Nylander can do, he had 13 points in 22 games, and I was very impressed. I really liked the way he handled the puck. Fun fact, when all those Leafs got called up at once, I was actually more impressed with Kasperi Kapanen. Just the way he was built, he looked like a big guy. I still like him, but I mean, I was kind of wrong in saying who was the most impressive Leaf, because there was a lot of other guys that did quite well as well. Not to knock anybody, but Nylander was very, very impressive. Arguably the bright spot of that entire season. And then the last 2 seasons, he had almost identical point totals. Well, he has in terms of points overall, but the goals and assists were slightly different. He scored 2 more goals in the 16-17 season, and this past season he had 2 more assists than the previous year. So when it comes to points, I mean, he's putting up a decent amount of points. You get a player that puts up over 60 points every season, you're pretty happy about that. But the main piece I wanted to really get to was contract comparables. Now, a lot of people will say Pastrnak, I've mentioned that before, Ehlers, both guys that were drafted in the same draft, I believe, and they both earned similar type of money. Like Pasternak's at like 6.6, and I think Ehlers might be getting paid a little bit more, or maybe stretched out onto another year. I can't exactly remember, but they're in the same ballpark. I believe their contracts are like $2 million off. Again, I read a quick article a while ago, probably a couple days ago, 2-3 days ago. I don't remember everything from it. So the one comparable that I wanted to go back to was Dylan Larkin. Now, I've done this comparison a little bit when Larkin signed his deal, and it was like, what was it, 5 years, and he got like over $6.1 million annually. So you have to kind of compare it, I guess, because of the fact that he just signed and Nylander's looking for a deal, and they're not too similar, but I mean, how do you not compare them this close? And the fact that they are a little bit similar, I guess you could say. The one thing I wanted to bring up was people talking to me about how oh, there was two sides to it. There was like, oh, okay, Larkin signed for 6.1. This is great. Nylander should get less. Then the other side was like, oh my God, 6.1 for Larkin. He's going to get more. And I'm on the side that thinks he's going to end up getting more, but I'm going to make points to why it could go both ways. So, first of all, for the side that says that he should make less, people are saying that because Larkin is more than likely a full-time NHL centerman, that, you know, he should probably be getting more money because he hasn't hit his peak yet. He hasn't put up as many points as he can. He led the team in scoring. He's looking like he's going to get even better. And I'm not knocking Larkin, but I mean, I'd rather have Nylander in my eyes. Again, I'm being biased, okay? So Red Wings fans, don't get upset. I just really like Nylander. And I love Larkin as well, don't get me wrong. But they're also arguing the fact that he played on the Red Wings, who are not a very good team, and he still was putting up those numbers. And the fact that Nylander probably is not as important to the Toronto Maple Leafs as a guy like Larkin is to the Red Wings. So Nylander is important to the Leafs, of course. He's part of that big three-headed monster of young guys, and now, you know, they've got a whole squad with a bunch of snipers adding Tavares. But just a quick note here. Nylander has 5 less points than Larkin does career-wise. But when you go down to games played, Larkin has played 242, Nylander has played 185. So he's put up, like, technically he has had a better points per game, like, by a lot. I mean, Nylander is putting up better, like a better number than him when it comes to points per game, if we're going career-wise. So the other thing to note is 41 of those points for Nylander came on the power play, whereas Larkin had 20. The Leafs had a better power play. I mean, you've got a lot more options, so that's probably why. If the Red Wings had a similar type of power play with a bunch of different options, then you're going to see that number go up for Larkin. So if I'm going to make an argument for why he should get more, and I'm on that side, is because I think that maybe to get him long term, the Leafs might want to do that. I mean, if I'm the Leafs, I'm trying to do that at least 5 or 6 years. That he could end up getting 6.5 just to be happy. The cap went up. I know that Larkin signed when the cap went up as well, but I think that the Leafs are going to end up paying Mitch Marner and Austin Matthews an arm and a leg. I really do think that Marner is going to prove this year that he could lead the team in points again. And with a healthy Matthews, Nylander, Tavares, like, he really wants to lead the team in scoring. And it's honestly not a long shot. He can do it again. He just did, if I'm not mistaken. I know Matthews probably had a better point per game average, but I think Marner definitely showed that he can lead the team in scoring if he really, really, really plays good with Tavares this year, and I think he will. But when it comes to Nylander, I just think that long-term deal, he's going to ask for a little bit more money because he does feel that he can play better than he already has. And, I mean, that's fair for a guy like him. I really do think he can get upwards to 70 to 75 points, maybe 80. I think some people might be thinking I'm crazy by having it that low or maybe too high. But I do think that he could hit those numbers. And, again, you have to remember, this Leafs team has so many options now that it's going to be hard for teams to match up against certain players, certain lines. You know, Babcock could get creative and double shift some of his stars just so that way it gets really terrible for other teams. Like, let's not forget that the Leafs could throw Nylander on the 4th line for a couple shifts and then toss him back out there with Matthews for another shift a couple shifts later. And the matchups will be impossible to keep. Like, you can't keep up with that. I mean, Nylander could go and play center on the 4th line for a couple shifts. And you're telling me he's not going to at least be a little dominant if he gets the opportunity? Then you got to find guys to hop over the boards to play against him. And then when he's back on with Matthews, you might not be able to toss that guy back over the boards. And that goes for a lot of players in the league. I'm not just saying it's for the Leafs, but when you have a lot of guys like that, like a team like Nashville, obviously teams like Tampa, you know, matchups are tough because you've got so many options against those guys. So Nylander and his agent are probably, well, mostly his agent, are probably arguing that he's going to put up a lot more points and that he's going to be more valuable than Larkin. And I know that the wing is not as important as a center position. That's probably the Leafs' argument. But regardless of that, if you're putting up points, you're putting up points. So I think it's going to end up being a $6.5 million contract annually for, I want to say, like, the first number that pops into my head all the time is 4 years, but I think it'll be 5 So if it's 4 or 5, I mean, I'm not going to say I told you so. If it's 4 or 5, that was just a roundabout guess that I thought. I'm not mad at that. Of course, every fan wants to see 7 or 8 years. But to be realistic, I'm going to say 4 or 5 at 6.5 annually. So it's under Pastrnak. It's obviously over Larkin by quite a bit. Over time, that money adds up. But Larkin might end up getting that extra year at 5 while Nylander gets 4 maybe, so we'll have to see. But leave your suggestions down below. How much will William Nylander sign for? How many years? Leave those suggestions down below. Let's keep it PG down there. I say it all the time to everybody. Don't fight with each other. Just have a conversation. If you guys want to support me on Patreon, the link is down below. Check it out. There's a bunch of cool tiers, lots of exclusive stuff, so check that out. Also, if you want to buy a t-shirt at Andrew Piluk Hockey on Spreadshirt, link is down below for that as well. Also, Snapchat, I mean, I haven't really messed around with that for the YouTube channel, but I'll probably post like video updates and stuff like that when it comes to videos on A Piluk Hockey. So check that out as well. Also, if you want to get $20 off your first purchase with SeatGeek, use code APH in all caps. The season's coming up. If you're a baseball fan, you can still get some tickets, maybe some postseason tickets if you want to. But again, preseason games, regular season games for the NHL, concerts, football games, soccer, you name it, you can find it on there. I'm sure there's probably comedy shows, everything that you would think of, maybe plays, I don't even know. Check it out on SeatGeek. Again, use the code APH in all caps. $20 off your first purchase. You might as well do it. And I mean, who's gonna get mad at you if you use multiple email accounts? We're not going to know. So, yeah, make sure you guys subscribe. Love to have more hockey conversations with you. Join the squad. Let's get to 4,000 subscribers. Click the notification bell. I'll see you guys in the next video or stream. Peace.